by the 10 nights. By the 10 nights. قال ابن عباس وابن الزبير ومجاهد أن المراد بقوله تعالى والفجر وليال العشر الأوائل من ذي الحجة. وقال ابن كثير هو الصحيح. Ibn Abbas and Ibn Zubayr and Mujahid and others, they said that the meaning of wal-fajr walayal al-ashr, by the break of dawn and the 10 nights, these 10 nights here are referring to the 10 days of the Hijjah. Even though there's some difference of opinion, some of the scholars, they said, like Ibn Uthaymeen, he took the second opinion. They said that these 10 nights are referring to the 10 nights, the last 10 nights of Ramadan. But the majority of the scholars that say that these 10 nights are the 10 days of the Hijjah, the majority of scholars, they say this is the correct opinion. Qala Ibn Kathir wa huwa sahih. Ibn Kathir said this is the correct opinion. Now, some of you might say, but the Quran says, by dawn and the 10 nights. And you're talking about the 10 days of the Hijjah. So how could this refer to the 10 days of Hijjah? We say, يجوز في اللغة أن يطلق الأيام ويراد بها الليالي ويطلق الليالي ويراد بها الأيام. It's permissible in the Arabic language to say days and mean nights, and say nights and mean days. And this is from the eloquence and the balagha of the Arabic language. And so we see here that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by these 10 days. And Allah Azza wa Jalla does not swear by these times except to signify an importance for these times. That we need to take advantage of these times. We're not supposed to waste time during these blessed days. We have to take advantage of these days because we don't know how many more are coming up left. We don't know how many days we have left. So when Allah gives us these gifts to elevate our ranks, we are in need of every single good deed we can do in this time. And also from the verses where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions these 10 days, قال تعالى ووعدنا موسى 30 ليلة وأتممناها ب10. قال الحافظ ابن كثير لما أراد الله عز وجل أن يشرف موسى بتكليمه أمره أن يصوم 30 يوما فصام 30 ولما أتمها استاك بلحاء الشجرة فأمره الله عز وجل أن يصوم 10 أيام وكانت هذه العشر من ذي الحجة وكان اليوم الذي كلمه الله عز وجل فيه هو يوم النحر فلما أتم 10 كلمه الله تكليما. Ibn Kathir, he mentions about the verse when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says where we promised Moses that we would speak to him after he fasts 30 days. And then we asked him to do 10 more days to make it 40 days. Ibn Kathir mentions about the tafsir of this verse. أكثر المفسرين, the majority or most of the scholars of tafsir, they said that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to give Moses the privilege of speaking to him directly, and it's from the Aqidah of Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks with sound and with letters, and that he spoke to Moses directly, and Moses heard the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any similitude with the creation. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to honor Moses with this privilege of speaking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah ordered him to first fast 30 days to prepare himself for this great moment. So he fasted for 30 days, and then when he finished those 30 days, he cleaned his teeth to prepare, to get ready for that time to speak with Allah. And so Allah Azza wa Jalla told him to fast 10 more days. So the scholars, they said those extra 10 days that made it 40 complete days, those 10 days where Allah completed the 30 days were the first 10 days of the Hijjah. And the day that Allah spoke to Moses was the day of our Eid, Yom al-Nahr, the day of sacrifice. It was the day of Eid. So when he completed those 40 days, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored Moses by speaking to him directly. And then we also have some proofs from the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam about the virtue of these days. فروى الإمام البخاري والترمذي وأبو داود وغيرهم من حديث ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ما من أيام العمل الصالح فيهن أحب إلى الله من هذه الأيام العشر. قالوا يا رسول الله ولا الجهاد في سبيل الله؟ قال ولا الجهاد في سبيل الله إلا رجل، وجاز في اللغة أن أقول إلا رجل خرج بنفسه وماله فلم يرجع من ذلك بشيء. Imam Bukhari narrates, and Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi and others, from the hadith of Ibn Abbas, that the Prophet ﷺ said, there are no days where righteous deeds are more beloved to Allah in them than the 10 days of the Hijjah. So the companions, they were astounded. Really? 10 days we do any act of worship, small or large, is better than anything that we could do any other time? They were astounded. They were amazed. Really? Is it that simple? Is it right there for us just to take? So they asked him, just to make sure that they understood correctly, "Oh, Messenger of Allah, is it even better than going out for jihad for the sake of Allah?" So he said, it's even better than jihad for the sake of Allah, except one case. Except for a person who went out for jihad, and he took with himself his wealth and his self, and he did not come back with any of those two, meaning he died a martyr. So other than this one case, you doing any good deed during these 10 days is better than you doing them in any other time. Any good deed. Prayer, fasting, dhikr, Quran, visiting the sick, enjoining the blood ties, amr bil ma'ruf, right? And enjoining the good, prohibiting the evil, nahy anil munkar, anything, teaching someone, helping people, removing dirt from the street so people won't, trip on them. Charity, any good deed you can think of, being good to your neighbor, being good to your parents, anything you can think of, any good deeds from the Qurban to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, any good deed you do in these 10 days is better than you doing it in any other time of the year. And from the hadith also, and so we find that a few points here we have to remember. If you know that these 10 days are the most beloved to Allah, as we mentioned in some other hadiths, how are we going to greet these 10 days? The 10 days of the Hijjah is about a week away. What are we going to do? Let's take a look at some of the Salaf, what they did when they knew about these good days. وكان كما روى الدارمي بسند حسن كان سعيد بن جبير وهو الراوي الحديث عن ابن عباس كان إذا دخل العشر اجتهد اجتهادا حتى لا يكاد أحد أن يقدر عليه أن يصل إليه. وكان يقول إذا دخل العشر فلا تطفئوا السرج كناية عن كثرة العبادة والقراءة. Sayyid ibn Jubayr, who narrates the hadith we just mentioned from Ibn Abbas, when the first 10 days of the Hijjah would enter, he would busy himself with so much worship that no one could reach him. No one could even get to him to talk to him, to ask him a question. No one could find him. He disappeared. He was busying himself in these 10 days with worship. And he used to say, if the last 10 days come in, if the first 10 days of the Hijjah come in, then don't turn off your lamps. Don't turn out your lights. Meaning, stay up all night reading and studying and reading Quran and worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are those who, when they heard the hadith, they implemented. Those are the real Salaf. That's why the Islamic empire at that time was what it was. And that's why we are what we are. Look at the difference. Look at the difference between us and them. When they heard, they implemented. They didn't make excuses. They didn't ask questions. They didn't say, well, we live in different times, akhi, and I have a lot of responsibilities, and inshallah next time, and Rabbina Ghafur Rahim, as all the Egyptians say, and they make excuses. All they do is make excuses. The Salaf, they heard and they did. Sami'na wa ata'na. They didn't ask, is this sunnah or wajib or makruh or mubah or but some of the scholars say, is there a way out? But is that a weak opinion? But some of the madhahib, but my shaykh and his shaykh, they didn't make excuses. They heard the authentic hadith of the Messenger of Allah, so they acted on it. That's it. Wallahi, if we were like them, we wouldn't be killed all over the place in the empire. You know why we're being killed and we're in poverty and we're being oppressed and we have dictators? All of this, why all of these problems? We try to solve it by going to protests and by trying to run for parliament and by trying doing this and that and making coalitions with these people. If only we stuck to the authentic hadith of the Prophet ﷺ with the understanding of his companions and did what they did. When we hear a hadith, we implement. Khater. Okay, we obey. If the ummah did this, then we wouldn't be in the situation that we are in. So Sa'id ibn Jubayr is a great example of this. When he heard the hadith of the virtue of these 10 days, he implemented that. So look at some of the other hadiths that the Prophet ﷺ said about the virtue of these days. روى البزار بسند صحيح صححه الإمام الألباني رحمه الله تعالى ورحمه الله الجميع أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال أفضل أيام الدنيا أيام العشر. Imam al-Bazzar, he narrates with an authentic chain that was authenticated by Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said, the best days in the world, in the dunya, in this life, all of the world, any day in this dunya life, the best days of this world are the 10 days of the Hijjah. وفي لفظ أبي يعلى قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ما من أيام أفضل عند الله من عشر ذي الحجة. And in the narration of Abi Ya'la, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, there are no days better with Allah than the 10 days of the Hijjah. So now we have to take a step back and think here for a minute. If now that you know, the Hijjah now has been established upon you, the proof has been established upon you, you've heard the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Now what did you just heard? Is this going to be a proof for you when you meet Allah or a proof against you? Now each and every one of you now knows that these 10 days are the best days with Allah. The most beloved days to Allah. The best days in this dunya. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do during these days? فلا ينبغي على المسلم أن يجعل هذه الأيام تمر عليه كبقية الأيام. It's not befitting for a Muslim and a believer when he knows that these days are the best days with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they are virtuous days where deeds are multiplied, to let these days just pass by like any other day. If you know that these days are beloved to Allah, then you, out of the love of Allah, you love what He loves. And so you should act and do good deeds in these days for the sake of Allah. Because these days have no virtue except the virtue that Allah gives them. Allah creates and He chooses what days He wants to be best. They're only good and virtuous because Allah is the one who made them virtuous. And they are the ones beloved to Allah, so they're beloved to us. When you hear that your Lord loves good deeds during these days more than any days in the year, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when you hear that? What will be your reaction? We have to act in these 10 days. Are we going to spend these 10 days posting selfies on Facebook? Are we going to spend these days liking statuses and flipping through social media and Twitter and Google? Are we going to spend these times on Facebook and watching movies? Are we going to spend these times flirting with guys and girls and texting girls late at night at the university? How are we going to spend these days? Are we going to spend these days reading magazines, People's Magazine? Oh, this actress, she married this actor. And yeah, oh, mashallah, this actress, she lost 10 pounds. No, wait, update, she gained 3 back. Like, is this what we're going to do? This is what we're going to do during the 10 days, waste our time with this abath, with this, we're wasting our time with things that will not benefit us. We have to fill these 10 days to your brothers and sisters with all of our good deeds. Anything you can do. And we're going to mention, inshallah ta'ala, some suggestions of what good deeds you can do during these 10 days. And from the reasons why these days are blessed are the following. The scholars, like Ibn Taymiyyah, he mentions in Majmu' al-Fatawa and others, that the 10 days of the Hijjah are the best 10 days of the year. But what about the last 10 days of Ramadan? What do we say about that? Most people, we thought the last 10 days of Ramadan are the best days of the year, right? Most people, they would say that. So the scholars, they said, the best days of the year are the first 10 days of the Hijjah. Why? Because it has in it the day of Arafah. But the best nights of the year are the last 10 nights of Ramadan because it has Laylatul Qadr. So here the scholars are able to combine between the different narrations. And Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, he mentions in Fath al-Bari, وهذا نص كلامه rahimahullah, he mentions why, he gives some more reasons why that the first 10 days of the Hijjah are the best days of the year. قال رحمه الله والذي يظهر أن السبب في امتياز عشر ذي الحجة بمكان اجتماع أمهات العبادة فيه وهي الصلاة والصيام والصدقة والحج وذلك يتأتى في غيره. Ibn Hajar, he mentions in Fath al-Bari, he says, what is apparent to us, the reason for why these 10 days are the best 10 days, the 10 days of the Hijjah, is because in these 10 days, all the major forms of worship are combined during these 10 days. Prayer, fasting, charity, and Hajj. And you will not find another time of the year where all of these major good deeds are combined at the same time. You can fast at another time, you can pray at another time, but you'll never be able to fast, pray, give charity, and go to Hajj. So these 10 days are one of the most virtuous days of the year because all the major good deeds are combined and are able to be done during these 10 days. And from the virtues of these days, that has the day of Arafah. Day of Arafah The Prophet ﷺ said about it in authentic hadith, أحتسب على الله أن يكفر السنة الماضية والمقبلة. The Prophet ﷺ said that we hope from Allah Azza wa Jalla that He will forgive the sins on the day of Arafat, for those who fasted the day of Arafat, the sins for the year that came before and the sins of the year that came after. 1 year, 1 year. وفي رواية أن يكفر سنتين, that He will forgive 2 years of sins. So 2 years of sins by fasting 1 day. Who's not going to take advantage of that? Why do we take advantage of worldly opportunities? You know, coupon, buy one, get one free. You work 7 hours, you get paid for 10 Christmas bonus, right? Well, on Christmas and these kind of holidays, the people that work on those days, right? On those days, no one wants to work on these days because they want to be home with their families. These holidays here, the non-Muslim holidays here in America and other countries, they offer their employees bonuses. You work the same amount of hours, but I'll pay you even more. To encourage, because no one wants to work on these days. So if you don't encourage the workers, if the employers don't encourage their employees with these kind of compensations, no one's going to come. So let's say whoever works on Christmas, you work the same amount of hours, I'll pay you double. These kind of compensations. But we have these compensations in the dunya, in the dunya, and we also have them in the deen. Why don't we go after them in the deen? You fast 1 day, you get 2 years of sins forgiven. You do worship in 10 years of the Hijja, it's better than worship any day of the year. Why don't we take advantage of these opportunities? But we went after them, these advantages during the dunya. So where are our priorities here, dear brothers and sisters? And from the verse, and the Prophet ﷺ also said about the day of Arafah, he said, خير دعائي دعاء عرفة وأفضل ما كنت أنا والنبيون من قبلي لا إله إلا الله. The Prophet ﷺ said, the best dua is the dua of Arafah. And the best statement of me and the prophets that came before me, La ilaha illallah. So the best dua is the dua in the day of Arafah. And there's many hadith about the virtues of Arafah. So Arafah, because of its virtue in the deen, it being in the 10 days of the Hijjah makes the 10 days of the Hijjah the best 10 days of the year. And also, during the 10 days of the Hijjah, we have the Yawm al-Nahr, we have the day of Eid, our Eid. And the day of Eid also has great significance. The Prophet ﷺ, he gave significance to that day. As in the important authentic hadith, he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ دِمَاءَكُمْ وَأَمْوَالَكُمْ وَأَعْرَاضَكُمْ حَرَامٌ عَلَيْكُمْ كَحُرْمَةِ يَوْمِكُمْ هَذَا. In the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ, he gave honor to this day. He said, indeed, your blood, yourselves, and your wealth, and your honor are prohibited for you to transgress, just like it is prohibited for you to transgress the greatness of this day. This day meaning the day of Eid. So the Prophet ﷺ gave this day great importance. And this day is the Eid for the Muslims, and it's in the 10 days of the Hijjah. And this is one of the reasons why this is the great 10 days. This day of Eid for us, dear brothers and sisters, that when a Jewish man came to Umar ibn Khater, in Hadith Sahih, أن رجلا يهوديا أتى إلى عمر رضي الله تعالى عنه فقال يا أمير المؤمنين آية في كتابكم تقرؤونها لو علينا معشر اليهود نزلت لاتخذنا ذلك اليوم عيدا. A Jewish man came to Umar ibn Khattab and said, oh, leader of the believers, there's a verse in your book that you guys recite. If that verse was revealed to us, the Jews, we would have taken the day it was revealed as a day of celebration. So Umar, he said, أي آية? Which ayah? He said, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. He said the verse that says, today I've perfected your religion and completed my favor upon you, and I'm pleased with Islam as your religion. So Umar, he said, إني لأعلم اليوم الذي نزلت فيه والمكان الذي أنزلت. He said, indeed I know the day that it was revealed and the place it was revealed. He said, نزلت على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بعرفات يوم جمعة. He said it was revealed to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم on the day of Arafah on a Friday. So this day of Eid of ours, a great day, is in the 10 days of the Hijjah. And while we're talking about Eids, something that really pains me is to see our Muslim brothers and sisters celebrating the Eids of other religions. Celebrating the days and celebrations of the non-Muslims. And the scholars, they said that celebrations are from the signs of a people. Or celebrations are from the signs of a people. Such as Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu anhu, and others, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As, on some of the companions when they went out and conquered the lands, and they saw the Muslims and how they interact with the non-Muslims and the pagan holidays of non-Muslims, they said, for example, Abdullah ibn Amr, he said, whoever celebrates the celebrations of the non-Muslims, he'll be resurrected with them. Whoever celebrates the New Year's, to be precise of the narration, the New Year's, meaning the celebrations of the non-Muslims, he'll be resurrected with them. So why? The Muslims, when it comes to Eid, there are kids who still want to go to school on Eid. What? Well, I've seen it. Why? Because I don't want to miss lunch with my friends. I'd rather go to lunch, go to Domino's to get pizza for half an hour with my friends than celebrate Eid. It's not, the parents have not put the importance of the sha'a'ir of the deen, the signs and the celebrations and the great days and significance of the deen in their hearts. On the day of Christmas, they want to go to the Christmas party. On the birthdays, they want to celebrate their birthdays. On the New Year's, they go to their friends and they pop like Martinelli's or whatever, like the sparkling apple juice. Shaykh, we're not drinking alcohol. But you're imitating them. You've got the bottle that looks like the bottle of alcohol, and then you pop the bottle like the champagne bottle, and you're saying you're not imitating the kuffar. Why? Our kids, they want to celebrate every other day of religion except for the days of Eid. And part of it is our fault because we're not making it something memorable for them. We go take them to a Eid prayer in some garage or some parking lot behind the Safeway, and we pray Eid, and we tell them, "Yalla, go back to school. You have a biology test the third period." The kids are not going to love Eid that way. They're not going to love Islam that way. We have to instill in our children the love of the Deen and the being proud to be a Muslim. That these are the days that are important for the Muslims, and I'm not going to associate with any other days that are characteristics of the non-Muslims. So from the virtues of the 10 days of the Hijjah is that the day of Eid is in there. And so I believe time is running out, so quickly I'll mention what are some of the things that we can do during these 10 days. We mentioned all the acts of worship, but specifically, one of the best things you can do is dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith narrated by Imam Ahmed and others, he said, فَأَكْثِرُوا فِيهِنَّ مِنِ التَّحْلِيلِ وَالتَّكْبِيرِ وَالتَّحْمِيدِ. The Prophet ﷺ said, he ordered his ummah what to do in these 10 days. He said, فَأَكْثِرُوا, make plenty for the dhikr of Allah by saying, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, alhamdulillah. Make plenty for the dhikr of Allah. And he didn't say, just remember Allah. He said, فَأَكْثِرُوا, and make plenty for the dhikr of Allah. Not just anything. Not every once in a while, Allahu Akbar, watch TV for half an hour, alhamdulillah, Grey's Anatomy is on right now, Allah, subhanallah, How I Met Your Mother is at 5. No, every 5 minutes, no. فَأَكْثِرُوا. All the time. Make your tongue working all the time. Make your tongue moist with the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jalla. All the time. And this is the sunnah, in fact. This is the way of the Sahaba. روى البخاري عن ابن عمر وأبي هريرة رضي الله عنهما أنهما كانا يخرجان إلى السوق فيكبران فيسمع الناس تكبيرهما فيكبرون. Imam Bukhari narrates in his Sahih that Ibn Umar and Abu Hurairah, during the 10 days of the Hijjah, they would go out into the marketplace and they would make takbir with loud voices so that other people could hear. And so when other people heard, they remembered, oh yeah, we're supposed to make dhikr. So they would make dhikr, so all the marketplace was full of dhikr. And this is a sunnah that has died out in our time, making dhikr out loud during the days of 10 days of Hijjah. وَلَسْتُ صُوفِيًّا حَتَّى يعني أحسن ظن بي. I'm not Sufi saying you should do group dhikr and all these things. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is the sunnah here indicates you can make loud dhikr. And when the sunnah doesn't do it, we don't do it. So we follow the sunnah, haythu dar. Wherever the sunnah goes, we follow it. In these 10 days, the sunnah says do dhikr out loud. But not in groups. Not in groups. We don't all get together like it always happens on the day of Eid. We always do this. We get together and we do dhikr before Salah. No, everyone individually out loud. And this was also heard from Umar, as also narrated by Imam Bukhari رحمه الله. كان عمر رضي الله تعالى عنه يأتي إلى منى في خيمته فيكبر فيسمع الناس تكبيره فيكبرون حتى ترتج منى تكبيرا. Umar ibn Khater would go to Hajj early, وربما he might have spent all 10 days of the Hijjah in Mina. And he would sit in his tent and would make takbir out loud. And so the people would hear his takbir and they would make takbir for themselves as well until all of Mina shook with takbir. So making takbir out loud and dhikr out loud, Imam Ibn Qayyim, he mentions in his book Zad al-Ma'ad, takbir here, the dhikr here, takbir mutlaq, dhikr mutlaq. Any of the 10 days of the Hijjah, you can make takbir anytime, anywhere. And this was reported in Umar. Anywhere he went, he would make dhikr. In the streets, in the masjid, in your school, on your bed, when the sisters are cooking or the brothers are cooking in the kitchen, everywhere you make dhikr. And so, dear brothers and sisters, the final point that we should take from these lessons today is that we have to take advantage of these 10 days. This is the most important thing. It's not important to memorize all the narrations. You don't know who narrated what, and the most important thing is you take away the benefit is that I'm going to do something. Make an intention right now. Make an intention that I'm going to take advantage of these 10 days. And may Allah bless and reward the people who are running the masjid and Shaykh Amar and the board who really think about the ummah and the community and think about what's best for them. And they say we have to remind our community about these days, so let's make a conference or a debts for these people, right? Well, this is called, the scholars and the students of knowledge, they have to be aware of what the ummah is going through. We don't sit in the corner and talk about things that are not relevant to our community. We talk about what's relevant to our community, what will benefit them here and now in America, on whatever day it is, at 8:56, Saturday night. What is going to be important for them? So, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to take advantage of these days. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our deeds. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our gathering here today. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it solely for His sake. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to let any of us leave this gathering today except with our sins forgiven. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward our Shaykh, Shaykh Ahmed, Shaykh Yousef, and to reward the Davis Masjid. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to reward the brothers and sisters who took time out of the daily schedule to come seek knowledge. So we give them the glad tidings of Allah and His Messenger about the one who left his house and his family and his wealth to come seek knowledge in one of the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where the angels surround them and tranquility descends upon them. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be pleased with us and not to be displeased with us, and to take our souls upon that which pleases Him. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. I don't know. We want this question, Shaykh Ahmad. I'm not answering any questions. I'm not crazy, man. Shaykh Ahmad is.
The question is for the shiur, so I'm not going to answer. But there is one thing, inshallah, because it caused confusion last year with some people, and many people asked me for it. Shaykh Ahmed Jazallah mentioned the fasting in the 9 days of the Hijjah, and we know that some people told me that there's a person who said that it's not allowed to fast the 9 days of the Hijjah because Rasulullah did not do it. وعندنا حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها في صحيح مسلم أنها قالت ما رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم صام 10 ذي الحجة قط. She said, I haven't seen Rasulullah fasting the 10 days of the Hijjah ever. فقال هذا الحديث حجة لأنه لا يصام 10 ذي الحجة. عندنا يعني هذا الكلام صحيح، هذا حديث صحيح في صحيح مسلم. But the problem is the understanding of the hadith itself. لأنه عندنا حديث الترمذي رحمه الله وغيره أن حفصة رضي الله عنها قالت كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يصوم 3 أيام من كل شهر والاثنين والخميس وتسعة ذي الحجة. Rasulullah used to fast 3 days of every month, and then Monday and Thursday, and the 9th of the Hijjah. فالآن عندنا 2 hadith. One says you do it, one says you don't do it. السنة fast inshallah the 9 days of the Hijjah. حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها يعني يحمل عائشة رضي الله عنها لم ترى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم 10 أيام في ذي الحجة، لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عنده 9 حجرات وكل ليلة في حجرة، فعائشة لم تراه 9 أيام. أو يقول العلماء في الأصوليون يعني يقولون أن خبر المثبت مقدم على خبر النافي. يعني if a person says that Rasulullah did something and another Sahaba said that Rasulullah did not do, we should go with the one that says Rasulullah did, because they have seen what the other person have not seen.
فكلاهما, both of them are correct. They both, one says we saw Rasulullah doing this,
That means they saw Rasulullah fasting. And the other one said, I did not see him, so he's saying the truth too. But the first one we go, the first one that says you should do what Rasulullah did. Inshallah, we can cause confusion. In Hadith Aisha تقول Rasulullah did not fast the 10 days of Dhul Hijja. كلام صحيح. Rasulullah didn't fast the 10 days لأنه how many days do we fast? 9 days. فكلام عائشة رضي الله عنها صحيح لأنه 10 فيكون حرام to fast. فمعناها 10 على الإيه؟ على الغالب يعني. إن شاء الله fast. And it's considered, as Shaykh Ahmed said, considered one of the good deeds. ومن العمل الصالح الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم left it open. He said, any of the good deeds. Fasting is a good deed? Inshallah. It will be if it's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أخوات يعني, what age should a woman be to not need a mahram? Old age.
He doesn't want to get in trouble.
there is no specific age. The Rasul قال لا يحل لامرأة تؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر أن تسافر مسيرة يوم وليلة. هذا التقييد الحديث. It's the distance, not the travel in itself. Some of the ulama طبعا يقولون طيب لو في رفقة صالحة, if there is a group that she's going with and it's a safe group, Muslim women or other group that is safe to travel with her, I had a different opinion. So if there is a safe group that she could travel with, they will be considered as a mahram even though they're not from her family, not the father, not the son, not the husband. لو هي the safety issue is the issue. Some other ulama they said no, stick with the hadith. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, he used to send his wives to Hajj and Umrah with the safe group. If there's a group that is going, Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu will do it. And we know that Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu كان من أشد الناس اتباعا لسنة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. And here the difference came. في بعض المذاهب يرى أنه تشدد في هذه المسألة أنه لا يجوز للمرأة أن تسافر يوما وليلة مسيرة, يعني travel of a distance, a day and a night without a mahram, without someone with her from her family. The other they took from Ibn Umar's sunnah and the act of Ibn Umar that she could, if she's safe, there is no fitna, there is no harm in here. فالمسألة واسعة, لكن at a certain age, the age is not the issue. The issue is the women traveling. Not the age. But if inshallah there is a safe group, then inshallah ناخذ بهذا القول تخفيف يعني ما. وهذا الشيخ وليد يعني سئل عنه أمامنا في Sacramento, and he was asked about the issue of the mahram, and he mentioned the hadith of Ibn Umar رضي الله عنه, and some of the ulama is disagreeing with the hadith and why not travel without a mahram, or why travel without a mahram, and the act of Ibn Umar, is it correct or is it not correct? Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah لما سئل one day about Ibn Umar having his beard and he cut whatever length is beyond his handspan, then he got very upset and he said, your question seems that you're accusing Ibn Umar, and then he started giving a whole lecture 1 hour about Ibn Umar and who was he and how much he followed Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So there is no way that Ibn Umar would do such an act except if he has an evidence or a proof or something that he supports, or maybe that he depends on something on it. If there is harm on the women, there is no disagreement among the ulama that she cannot travel by herself. But then we have the distant issue. هذا الله أعلم. لكن الage ما يذكر فيما نعلم يعني الله أعلم. As I know, and Shaykh Yousef said also the age, so that's what we know of the age. If I make Hajj with my family and I was an adult, but I did not make niyyah, I just went, is it considered Hajj? By going for Hajj, Al-Hajj هو القصد. يعني Hajj, when you direct yourself and go and do the Hajj. So I don't know how he did not have the niyyah. Was he asleep when they took him? How he didn't have the niyyah. The niyyah في الحج, this is the time that you say it with your tongue. نحن نعلم أن النية, intention is always in the heart. إنه الإنسان الصلاة, الله أكبر, he gets into the salah. So he left his house, he came all the way here to pray. So there is no need to say نويت أصلي صلاة العشاء 4 ركعات في مسجد ديفيس 9 o'clock خلف الإمام so and so who was born مش عارف هذا الكلام هذا ليس من السنة. This is not from the sunnah. And some people they add a lot of things. So they keep saying the intention out loud till the Imam almost finished with the first rak'ah. They يقول Allahu Akbar the Imam is going for the ruku. The time that you have taken to say the niyyah. لكن الحج يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ابن عباس رضي الله عنه another they said we heard Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول لبيك اللهم حجا. So he announced it. He said his intention is for hajj. So if the brother did not have the intention and he started the manasik or didn't have the intention at all during the hajj, so he entered the manasik and he took the ihram and he got dressed and he did the tawaf and then Arafah wa Mina and all of that and no intention, هذا يحتاج إلى a question. I need to ask him a question. صحيح والله ما أعلم كيف النية يعني. If he didn't announce that it's hajj or umrah, then yes, there is no combining between hajj and umrah because he has to say it from the beginning. لما ساق النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم الهدي and the sacrifice قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم if I did not do that I would combine hajj and umrah. That's because he did that. فنحن نقول النية if he started with the niyyah, the intention, or they took him, they forced him to go to hajj, then he has to make up the hajj. But if he went to hajj and he did the manasik and he entered the masjid al-ihram and he prayed the 2 rak'ah and he stand, inshallah, نسأل الله أن يجعل حجة مبرورة. Then if you could go hajj again, have the intention from Davis before he leave, that will be better inshallah. لكن ما أعلم, I really don't know ما معنى النية. If the sister could explain more, what do you mean she didn't have a niyyah to do hajj? بس يعني ما نوت قط يعني if she didn't have intention at all that she's doing hajj, she just went with the group, with the family, أقول هذا لا حج. تمام؟ لكن if she entered and they took her and she went to hajj and she did all the rules and the obligation of hajj, inshallah نسأل الله أن يكتب لها hajj, and if she could go later and do another hajj جزاها الله خير if she has the money. لكن إن شاء الله يصلح. جزاكم الله خير. نعم. سؤال صعب. طيب.
If a person intended or made the intention that he is going to fast the 9 days in Hijja or the 6 days of Ramadan, inshallah, he didn't finish, he didn't complete the 6 days or the 9 days. Is there any obligation on him?
أنا أعرف قول أبي حنيفة الإمام أبو حنيفة رحمه الله في المسألة في من تلبس بسنة يعني تصبح واجب عليه الإكمال فيتم إذا ما أو يقضي ما بدأ فيه إذا تلبس بالسنة، يعني إذا فعل أمرا ودخل فيه لا يجوز له أن يقطعه. المذاهب الأخرى أو بعض المذاهب يعني يقول لا ما في شيء، لكن الأفضل هو النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان إذا بدأ أمرا أتمه وكان يأخذ بالأيسر في الأمور ويتم عمله، كان عمله ديما كما تقول عائشة رضي الله عنها أن يتم العمل ثم يفعله دائما. فإذا بدأ الإنسان تلبس بالسنة يقضيها. The only thing is that you make up is the makeup for the day that the person fasts for making up Ramadan. And if you fast because you missed 1 day of Ramadan and then you start fasting, فهذا يعتبر كيوم رمضان. Some ulama يقول we make up that day, we make up a day for that day. لكن السنة اللي هي السنة المفتوحة، نحن عندنا في 9 days of ذو الحجة, the first 9 days, there is no hadith that says you must fast the 9 days of or the 9 days of ذو الحجة. نقول it's one of the most or one of the best righteous deeds. Among the righteous deeds is fasting. Therefore, we recommend fasting. لكن ليس هناك حديث يقول افعل هذا. ليس كما كست شوال. ست شوال في حديث نص من النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من صام رمضان وأتبعه ب6 من شوال فكأنما صام الدهر كله. لكن ذو الحجة ما فيها نص، إنما هو من باب المستحب في الأعمال الصالحة. From the recommended good deeds that you fast. So it's not a sunnah that is obligatory to do. It's recommended from the acts of the good deeds. Not even a sunnah that Rasulullah said we fast the 9 days and fast the 9 days, except the day of Arafah. The hadith is very clear. As Shaykh mentioned the hadith, Rasulullah fast and he said if you could fast you fast because it forgives 2 years of sins, inshallah. Barakallahu fikum, jazakumullah khairan. Last question. Because the pizza is cold.
So, just concerning time, is it permissible if somebody's consuming most of his time or his whole time studying or memorizing, more like studying and leaving aside the reading of the Quran, dhikr, and qiyam, and can count against?
Studying and memorizing what?
Whether it's issues concerning the deen or outside.
Well, حتى the study outside if you make it for the deen، لكن هذا من الأعمال الصالحة. يعني ما ذكر الشيخ أحمد من الذكر والأشياء هذه يستحب لأنه فيها آيات تحض على ذلك. فيستحب الذكر وقراءة القرآن حتى while studying. الشيخ ابن باز رحمه الله, one of the scholars that كانوا يقولون, if back then they had the Fatawa program on radio. فكان المذيع يقول إن شاء الله today we have one of the speakers, guest Shaykh, so and so. By the time he's speaking, everybody would be familiar that it would be Shaykh ibn Baz. Why? لأنه كان في background always saying, Subhanallah, you could tell that this is Shaykh ibn Baz coming without even him saying who would be talking. فحتى وقت المذاكرة تذكر الله سبحانه وتعالى, وقت القراءة تذكر الله سبحانه وتعالى, وقت الwriting. يعني try to make time for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you will find time. As we said, this is blessed days. So if you can't do any of that, let's say you cannot do any of the dhikr, reading Quran, you don't have time, let's say for any of that, then fasting will be the best ibadah, because that you could do and do other things with it. So you could go to work while fasting, you could study and do homework while fasting, you could go to school while fasting. So nothing could stop you from fasting unless you're sick or you have an excuse. And لكن if you're doing a study that benefits you for dunya and deen, or it has to do with the religion, or it has to do with the dunya and akhirah, inshallah will be a reward. لكن نكثر, يعني it's a chance, it's only 9 days. So if you don't take advantage of these 10 days or 9 days, والله يعني free time, try to free time for it if you can. If you can find, inshallah الصيام يكفي inshallah. جزاكم الله خير. نشكر الشيخين الفضلين يعني